So, you think you're ready to pop the question, or you are tired of waiting for them to pop the question, and you need to give them a little nudge in the right direction. Well, I am Brandon Shrew coming at you, and with just under 4 months until my big day, I am here offering my absolute must-dos when picking out and buying your life partner's most prized possession. I'm going to break it down in 5 unbelievably easy steps for you or the person that you love to make the moment just right. As long as you believe in some sort of sanctimony of marriage. But even if you don't, perhaps stick around anyway, because everyone deserves to be loved, and every loved one deserves to feel special on the day that they have to make the biggest life decision of their entire lives. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I will give you a bonus, which is the absolute hardest freaking part about proposing, and what that truly is. I know you're all on the edge of your seats, so let's jump right into it. Tip number 1, and possibly the easiest one of them all, is feel that the moment is right. I hear all the time, especially since I've been engaged, that some ladies are just constantly waiting all the time for that moment to come. Some even give up on a good relationship because they think it never will. Now, I'm obviously going to speak from my own hetero male experience, but it is important to make sure that you feel that the moment is right. I've been in multiple long-term relationships in my life, and I never felt like the moment was right, whether it be the partner that I was with, or the timing in my life, or where I was at, but I never felt that the time was right. And I'm gonna be honest, even with Emily, I didn't wake up one day and get punched in the face with like, hey, now's the time, let's do this. It was more of, I can describe it as like a time frame where my mindset just started to shift, and it made me want to go out and start looking for an engagement ring and make this thing official. It was definitely an overwhelming and sometimes even terrifying feeling about taking this next step in our relationship. And I truly believe if you're not equally as scared as you are excited, that maybe you're not feeling it just yet. So this matters for any type of relationship. I don't care how you identify, this should always be about love. And if you're feeling it, trust me, you know it, and you know you're ready to take the next steps. Speaking of next steps, tip number 2, do your research. If you don't take any of these other tips into advisement, please just do this one. Gentlemen, I'm specifically speaking to you. When I started looking for engagement rings, I didn't know anything about rings. And the first step is admitting to yourself that you know nothing. Research is huge. If your lady has been dreaming about her wedding since she was 4 years old, you're darn tootin' that she's at least thought about what her ring would look like. So here's 2 important tips. 1, put your pride aside and don't do it alone. Ask for help. When I decided to first start looking at engagement rings, I was blessed. In the job that I was in, a man took over as my manager, and he was coming from a fine jeweler's establishment. Shout out Gerard. It was like the universe knew, and it solidified my feelings about proposing. Every day between breaks, I would question Gerard on any and all information that he would give to me about the bands, about cuts, about diamonds, about anything to ask when I finally got there. And he would shower me with all of this information. Don't be afraid to ask everything. Second tip, don't just go with what you think is nice. Find out what they like. Emily had a Pinterest board that I had been stalking. I also would slip into conversations just little bits of information so I can puzzle it all together without, trying to give anything away. I'm sure that your loved one has talked to a sibling or a friend about what their dreams and wants are for a ring, and go question them. Although, do not question them if you know that they cannot keep a secret. Research, research, research. It will hands down help you with our next must-do, money. Yes, unfortunately we can't talk about engagement rings without talking about money. Why? Because this is an investment into your relationship. I'm not saying break the bank and spend every dollar that you have, but what I am saying is that the most helpful thing that you can do is budget. Budget, whether your budget is $100 or $40,000, figure it out. How do you figure that out? Guys, pay attention. Must do number 2, research. So, you figured out what your significant other is interested in and what you want to put into the ring. Next step is deciding how much money you're willing to spend. This will be incredibly helpful for you and a jeweler if they're trying to help you, and it really just narrows down the field and makes it as simple and easy as it can to what you're looking for. I personally took Gerard's advice, and I shopped local, and I went to Lily and David's Fine Jewelry in Saratoga Springs, and they were incredibly helpful. Before I even got there, I spoke to my jeweler, Tammy, on the phone, and I told her what I had been researching and how much money I was willing to spend. And by the time I got there, with, of course, my sister and my mother with me, so, I can get a trusted woman's opinion on the ring that I would choose, Tammy had already set up half a dozen options for me to just go through and work through and see what I liked. Every one of those options fit my needs, and she made it simple and easy, and it made me feel like I was with a trusted friend who was really there to support me. Now, you have a budget, and it's up to you what to do with that budget. I'm going to be completely transparent. I set my budget, and then because I knew how much money I already was willing to spend, I made a conscious decision to break my budget. I spent a little bit more money than I was anticipating, because I was trying to fit with the size of the diamond and things that I thought personally that I wanted to be a part of this ring. Don't be afraid to break your budget, but in order to break it, first you have to know what that budget is. All right, so now you have a ring, and before you can do anything with it, this next piece of advice is a little new school, old school for you, and it is connect with their family. Now, hold up. Before anybody throws me off a bridge, I know everybody's situation is different. When I say connect with their family, I mean connect with the people that they hold most dear to them. I know that some people are estranged to their blood family, but throughout our lives, we tend to collect people and get close to people who then we create our own family with. So find those people for your partner and explain your intentions. You make a complete oath when you get down on one knee and you are deciding to be a part of your partner's life forever. Now that is a legal bonding decision of love. Their friends and family, they're choosing to be with them no matter what the cost through it all. Trust me, nothing is more satisfying than hearing that their loved ones approve of your love and want to be there for us through it all. So ask her father. That is what I did, although I highly recommend also asking the mother. But if that's not their people, ask their beloved sister, ask their best friend, ask the grandparent that has been in their lives forever. Ask whoever means the most to your partner, because they love your partner just as much as you do, and they just want to do what's best for them. All right, before we go into our most important piece of advice, if you're finding this helpful, slap the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment about your experience down below and any advice that you've had, and share this video to a friend who desperately needs it. Let's spread this video and help those who are struggling. All right, last but not least, must-do advice number 5. Now that you've gotten their loved ones' approval and they know your intentions, this part gets a little bit tricky. Forget about every single one of those people. Why? Because number 5, and the most important part, is make a plan. The reason I say forget about them is because now all of them, trust me, all of them are now going to want to know the how, the when, and the where. And all of them are going to have an opinion about it. This is the most important part. This is the part that your partner will remember forever. This is the part where for the rest of your partner's life, people will ask them, so how did he do it? I have now had multiple conversations with married and engaged couples, and I'm listening to the wife tell the how, the when, and the where, and I can see her rolling her eyes, and she's telling the story, and you can tell, I can feel that she's told the story 1,000 times, and she hates it every single time. Gentlemen, this is not the time to cheap out. You can botch a proposal with a $40,000 ring, and she will probably get over that. I'm sure she will forgive you. But if you kill it with a proposal with a $100 ring, you win, bro. She now gets to tell that story forever, and every time there will be someone going, "Aww." Now, I'm not saying my proposal was perfect. We were on the beaches of Mexico at sunrise, and there was a sand raker who was just ruining the entire atmosphere. I was sweaty, I was nervous as hell, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember the words that came out of my mouth. But we got through it, and she said yes, and that was after a ton of friends and family. They were saying, "Oh, do you really think it's the smartest to do it on the beaches of Mexico? Or maybe you should do it in a simpler thing before you go on the trip. Or don't you want to include your friends and family in the proposal? That would be nice." Listen to me. Trust me. Go with your gut and do what is best for you and your partner. Emily is always asking to wake up and watch the sunrise, and I love taking pictures of her, so I fused them both together. We got up, I was taking pictures of her on the beach at sunrise until I finally popped the question, and it was glorious. Here's a pause for a pro tip, something that was told to me before I proposed by almost everyone. at the jewelry shop, you're going to be emotional. They're going to be emotional. Before you do anything, put the ring on their finger. No kisses, no hugs, no nothing. Why? Because anything can go wrong. Put the ring on their finger. Now, you've made a plan, and just like your budget, you can pivot from the plan. We were in Mexico for our 3-year anniversary, and the plan was to propose on our anniversary, which was the second to last day of the trip. I was freaking out, and I couldn't wait that long. So I pivoted. I did it the first morning that we were there, and it was the best decision I could have made. 1, I was less stressed out. 2, for the rest of the trip, we had special dinners together, and we just talked about marriage for the rest of the time. It was fantastic. Best trip I could think of. All right, ladies and gents, and those who don't identify. If you stuck around this long, you're hopefully hoping for love, and I promised you a bonus tip. Now that tip is the hardest freaking part about proposing. For me, the hardest part was the secret keeping. If you are proposing to somebody, I assume that they are a dear loved one and that you trust them wholeheartedly. Emily is my best friend, and the worst part about the entire proposal process was the secret keeping. Me not being able to tell my best friend over the course of months what I was doing, who I was talking to, what I was planning, the lying. I'm sorry, I lied a lot, little white lies, but I had to. It was the worst. Here you go. The best part about the proposal process for me was word vomiting. All of that stuff after I had proposed, spending the rest of the trip just telling her who I talked to and everything that went on and how I talked to her father and all this other stuff. All right, I hope you all found this helpful. Now go, for the love of pie, make a plan.